Hello. How
Hi, how are you?
are you? Thank you so much for taking your time for this Q&A on B2B Media.
My
Really,
pleasure.
really honored. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to talk about. And first of all, I wanted to thank you for giving me your book, Clean 7. I'm reading it right now. It's really interesting, and I can't wait to, go into details and discuss this. But first, just so for our followers right now to understand, I was wondering, how did your personal journey lead you to become not only passionate about, clean eating, but also to base your entire career on it?
Well, I wouldn't say I based my entire career on it, but I don't divide and make a distinction between my career and my life. They just go together. I'm
Perfect.
never working or living. It's
That's
in it's indistinguishable, right?
yeah.
So what happened was I went to medical school to really try to understand how to help people.
Hmm.
And then during my training years at the hospitals, I got very sick.
Okay.
I consulted three specialists. I got three diagnoses, seven prescription medications, and that didn't make sense to me.
Mm. You felt
So I started looking for a different solution, which took me around the world, and I
uh-huh.
tried everything under the sun. And it wasn't until I found the concepts and practices of detoxification that I became completely, fully vibrant and healthy and feeling and looking 10 years younger and no symptoms whatsoever from my depression, from my irritable bowel syndrome, from my severe allergies. So that took me to really try to understand. And I think at this point, so many years later, I do understand a little bit about, the detoxification system, but just as one aspect involved and interconnected with many other aspects: immunity, digestion,
Yeah.
hormone balance, detoxification. All these things, they go together. There's not one thing that can be done without the other things being affected.
It's an entire universe that is, every bit of the universe is connected with each other, and that's what makes our health basically.
Well, the
But
universe is all connected, and your body is certainly all connected.
And so I was wondering, just for the people who just follow us right now and watch this conversation, not everyone is really familiar with what detox and clean meat eating actually means. So could you just explain the basic pillars of clean eating for people not quite familiar with the term?
Well, first of all, I'd like to explain what detoxification is, right? And detoxification is just one of the processes, one of the functions that is happening in the body all the time.
Yeah.
As you breathe out CO2. CO2 is the waste product of the metabolism of sugar in the mitochondria, and so that is released. The waste product is released to the blood, and then from the blood it goes to the lungs, and then you breathe it out, right? So that's detoxification. Your liver is constantly transforming toxic molecules into non-toxic molecules, whether they are endogenous, I mean a result of the waste product of your metabolism, or exogenous, the chemicals that we breathe, that we ingest, that we put on our skins through cosmetics, but mostly that we eat through our foods. All these chemicals, right? Many of them
Yeah.
are foreign to the body, and even though they may not kill you right away, which is why they are approved to be in your foods, over time they cause all kinds of disruptions, right?
Understand.
And most of them are lipophilic. They only dissolve in fat. So the
Mhm.
body has the has to go through the trouble of not only converting these molecules from toxic to non-toxic, which is partly done in the liver, but also partly in the intestines by the intestinal flora, and also um, turning them from fat only soluble to water soluble, because the only way that the body knows how to eliminate stuff is through urine, feces,
Yeah.
sweat, and breath, right? So water soluble stuff is the only stuff that we can get rid of. That is detoxification. That is what something that the body is doing, just like your body is digesting, just like your body is producing hormones, just like your body every month get ready to have a baby, but then there is no baby, so it discharges everything. So those are functions that are going on in the body all the time, right? In fact, if detoxification stops for just a few minutes, you die.
Exactly, yeah. It's part of.
So for all those critics and that say that detoxification is something that your body is always doing, and all this is BS. Well, yeah, it is. Your body's always doing it, but there's ways in which you can support that that function of your body so that it gets fulfilled optimally, right? So that's detoxification. So when I was suffering from my own health issues, I found the concepts and practices of detoxification. And through that, I was able to get rid of all my issues completely. But beyond that, I was feeling and looking 10 years younger, to the point that all my friends, my family, my patients, that what what
Yeah.
did you do?
So we're talking about benefits not only on a physical level, but also on a mental, psychological level, like clean
Well,
eating.
the way that I understand it now, there is no way of getting physical benefits without getting emotional, mental, and spiritual, because everything goes together. In fact, we talk about the mind and the body, right? But this is a misconception. The mind is in every cell of the body.
Yeah, yeah,
So the mind is everywhere. So there is no separation between mind and body, right? And whatever you do for the body, you do for the mind, and whatever you do for the mind, you do for the body, right? In
yes,
Spanish, they say "mens sana in corpore sano," right? Well, actually, it's Latin, which is a healthy mind, a healthy body, right? It's the same thing.
yeah, it's
So
true.
so so once I learned the concepts and practices of detoxification, how to create the conditions for the body to really uh, put these functions to best
Exactly.
use, and then how to support it nutritionally, then
Mhm.
I found that I could like really affect so many issues, so many problems that
And
in people's minds and even in doctors' minds, they're separate things. Oh, you go for this to the gastroenterologist, and for this to the dermatologist, and for this to the neurologist, and the kidney specialist, and the liver specialist, right? But suddenly you see that they're all connected, and you see that when something fails here, the repercussions can be felt and seen far away from
exactly.
where things seem to be the problem, right? Gastrointestinal issues affecting the brain, leaky gut giving you leaky brain. So you know how they say when a butterfly flaps its wings in Japan, there's a tsunami in Chile, right? Well, this is the same thing in the body, right? When a molecule fails to be there for
All,
what it's needed, then there's a whole series of reactions of adaptation and survival that end up affecting everything.
yes. And so how does your clean eating program, your clean program, I'm speaking also about the 21-day clean program, which is the most famous one, and then we'll be speaking about your 7-day program that you're talking about in Clean 7, your new book. How does this clean program support this natural detoxification of the body?
So first of all, energetically, we are, as a species, we are robbing our body from the ability to do what it needs to do, because we are living in an unnatural way.
Yes.
When you look at animals in the wild, you see they eat what nature designed them to eat.
Yeah.
They live in the way nature designed them to live, right? And they follow those rules because there is no other option. Now
Exactly.
we have extracted ourselves from nature, and we live in these boxes, and we ride these other boxes with wheels, and we put chemicals to everything just to make it smell better, look better, clean better. So
Yeah.
so all this unnatural way of living, the way that we use chemicals in everything. When you wake up in the morning, you've been breathing chemicals from fire retardants in your mattress, and from detergents in your laundry, from your pajama or your underwear that has been seeping through your skin into your blood all night. Then you step on your hardwood floor that's been waxed and cleaned with all kinds of chemicals. Then you walk to the bathroom, you open the faucet, you splash your face with water, but that water, if it's supplied by the city and not filtered, has all kinds of chemicals and medications, from Viagra to antidepressant. So then you put the deodorant with aluminum, and then you wash you brush your teeth with all kinds of things. Because in the toothpaste we put SLS, which is a chemical that we put also on our detergents that makes it foam. Then we put sweeteners. Then we put coloring agents and texture. So when you brushing your teeth, which you think you're sipping into your blood all these chemicals, right? That we know cause all kinds of disruptions. And then you put your perfume, and then you put your clothes that also been washed with detergents, and then you go to the kitchen, right? And you get your pan, your Teflon pan or whatever, and you start preparing your eggs, which are loaded with all kinds of chemicals, and your bacon with antibiotics and hormones, and then your coffee with all kinds of chemicals, so by the time that you leave home for work, and now you're home all day long, right? So you are exposed to 15 to 2,000 chemicals that we know that alone or in combination can cause all kinds of disruptions. And since as a culture we are digesting all the time because we don't eat, nature designed animals to eat when they found food and then to spend the rest of the time looking for food. So imposed episodes of feasting and then fasting. I can't hear you. I think there's another technical problem.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. It's better.
So anyways, we're eating all day long, we're digesting all day long, therefore we depress many of the other functions of the body, detoxification being one of them, right? And on top of that, we don't provide the body because we don't eat foods with the necessary nutrients, because we take them off from the earth before they're ripe, and the earth is already depleted from nutrients. By the time we get the foods, they are depleted of nutrients. But then we eat them and we have to absorb them. And for most of us, our intestines are not working perfectly well because of many issues, because of bad intestinal flora, because of breaking of the wall of the intestines called the leaky gut, because of inflammation around it, right? So we're not absorbing. So not eating enough nutrients, of course not absorbing enough nutrients, then these nutrients are the raw materials that the liver needs in order to do its work. And then at a time where we are exposed to so many chemicals and we should be detoxifying, our body should be detoxifying at top speed, we are slowing it down because we are digesting all the time, and we are impairing it because we're not providing all the nutrients necessary, and therefore our toxic burden increases, and therefore you see that everybody's sick.
Okay. So now the big question is, I mean, before we get into how we can find solutions, to detoxify and to get rid of toxins, you just mentioned something very important, which is gut health. So gut health is a major part of your studies, but also generally speaking of any studies that's related to detox and clean eating. Can you please explain to the people who are listening to us right now why a healthy gut is of vital importance to
The gut is like the root of a tree. The tree sucks its nutrients through the root from the earth, water and earth, right? And then it sends it along its trunk and its branches to the fruit, the flowers, and the leaves, right? Our body sucks its nutrients through the roots, through the gut, from the earth, but it's portable because you're throwing the earth in, right? And then it sends it through its vessels, to the fruit, the leaves, and the flowers, which are your hair, your skin, and your organs, right?
Yeah.
So this is where health and disease starts. And thousands of years ago, Hippocrates himself said the root of all disease is in the intestines, right? and that's where 70 to 80% of our immune system is
Oh,
located.
okay.
There's a nervous system within and around the gut that is bigger than the nervous system in your skull.
Oh,
80% or 90% of your serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter associated with happiness, which is the one that they say it's low when you're depressed, and they give you medications to increase it. That serotonin is mostly produced in the gut.
yeah.
So on top of that, the gut houses the intestinal flora. The intestinal flora now we know is a symbiotic planet, right? With our bodies, right? And we give them housing and food, but they give us tons of other things. They modulate and train our immune system. They pre-digest certain foods that otherwise we couldn't digest and absorb. So there is the intestine. The intestines is where the detoxification system, the digestive system, the immune system, they all meet. They all intersect in the intestine.
Oh, together. I understand. And how so because now we talked about the basis, so people can understand what detox and clean eating means. Can you tell us more about your latest book? So Clean 7. I will read the subtitle: Supercharge Your Body's Natural Ability to Heal Itself, a 1 week breakthrough detox program. So
So
explain to us how your latest 1 week detox program really helps to,
so
super body.
the 21 day program is a program in which we create the conditions for the body to uh, do detox at a higher intensity and support it nutritionally. And in 21 days, people get just incredible results. But what I noticed, and all the principles that are that are guiding this program are principles that I learned and acquired from functional medicine, and of course my practice for many years, right? But I realized that so many people, so many more people needed to have this kind of experience and learn this kind of thing
Yeah.
than the ones that were ready to wrap their minds around a 21-day commitment. So for years I was looking for a way to speed up or intensify
Okay.
or try to give people in 7 days not what I give them in 21 days, because that's impossible, but at least enough that they would feel really excited and inspired to continue, right? And that's why I included in my 7 day principles from Ayurvedic medicine and intermittent fasting to
Okay.
really make it more powerful, right? And it's working.
Because this is also a main issue. Like there are so many people who want to try, a diet or a detox or a clean eating program, and who either give up along the way or just, regain the bad habits or the weight that they've lost after completing the program. So, what would be your advices to those people who are frustrated, during a clean eating program or after? What would be your advices to them to make
Well,
it better?
the thing is that you only gonna get the results that whatever you're trying will allow you to. So depending on how the program that you've done was designed, who designed it, how much
Yeah.
experience they have, how many people they've seen, what is it that they're targeting, right? So there's a lot of cleanses and detoxes out there. Most of them, the people that design them, they know more about design, about how to make it cool and how to make it sound cool, and all these things, but
Yeah.
but they don't really fully understand what they're doing,
And
and most of them to some point work, because when you just reduce the quantity of what you're eating, you're going to get results, right? But unless you really provide the body with everything that it needs, and you only know that if you fully understand the biochemistry and the physiology, right? Then you
yeah.
won't be able to put together something that fully supports the body's functions. So I would say that is, important, that you understand that maybe what you tried and didn't work and you got frustrated with wasn't really what you needed, right? So
Yeah.
so
So choose your best product, choose the right for yourself. And I have another question. And before that, I will just tell the people, yes, because I'm starting to receive some questions. Guys, if you have any questions, please click on the tiny little question mark below. Send me your questions, and towards the end of our conversation, we will be sharing them with Dr. Junger and answering them. So, what I was wondering, frustrated people when it comes to diets, detox, what are the biggest misconceptions today when it comes to clean eating and detox? What are the biggest misconceptions and mistakes that people make?
So, you know, we are in the corona times, coronavirus pandemic times, right?
Yes.
Coronavirus, um, it's a little worse than the flu, right? In terms of its virulence, it
Yes.
infects rapidly and like crazy, right? And and but we know that the virus mostly, not, you know, there's exceptions to everything, right? But mostly affects people that were not completely well before, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if our population, maybe if our species were more resilient, maybe everybody would have non-symptomatic coronavirus, like, because now we're finding out, because we were only testing people with symptoms, but
Mm-hmm.
now we're finding out that tons of people without symptoms had corona, right? So
Yeah.
what's the difference? What are those people just lucky, or, you know, right? Or
Question.
so yeah. So my understanding, and, you know, and I'm always learning new things because it's a new virus, and but my understanding is that this is not very different from, in general terms, from every other infection, right?
Okay.
And the host, the person that is infected, is at a bigger advantage or bigger disadvantage when encountering any organism, depending on how your immune system is functioning, which is not disconnected from anything else, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, I think now, okay, um, at this time, we really would need the population to increase its immune resilience. And I go to the supermarket to buy some fruit, and when I walk around, I see that the shelves of processed foods are empty,
Exactly. No
and
cost.
there's more fruit and vegetables now than there were before.
It's just
So
crazy.
I'm saying, whoa, that this is why we're getting sick, you know. So
Uh,
the biggest misconception that we have is that we don't even really eat food mostly anymore. We eat edible products. We eat
mm,
food like stuff, full of
yeah.
chemicals, and, you know, it has food inside. Like, for example, a can of, you know, peach in syrup has peach,
Mm,
right? But
yeah.
it also has tons of other products, sugar and added sugar and
Yeah.
fructose and who knows how, and preservatives. And
Mm,
we're not eating food anymore. We're eating food like products, right? And this is what, not only we're eating food like products, we're eating it all the time. So we
yeah.
are digesting all the time.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest problem of humanity at this time. What we eat and how much we eat of it.
Exactly. And the bad choices we make in the process. So I was wondering, because we're in this period of lockdown, one of the beautiful things that came out of lockdown is that people actually have time to cook and time to, take the time to eat and not be in a rush and just eat a sandwich, but actually time to cook and eat. So, what could be a good way for people to get in touch with, cleaner eating habits right now, like with a low budget, obviously, because a lot of people at the moment are suffering enormously from the whole coronavirus crisis, and millions of people lost their jobs. But still, a lot of people want to keep on continue to, but have less budget that they used to have before. It's less spending budget.
The
So,
good news, the good news is that the most important things that you can do for your immune system and for your overall wellness are free.
okay,
Sleep,
yes,
super important,
yeah,
right? Moving, super important. A little exercise.
Has to.
You don't need to go crazy and start training for a marathon. Meditation,
Mm-hmm.
super helpful. And all these things I'm talking are not just poetic things that we can. No, these are proven scientifically. I mean, I don't even need the scientific proof to understand, because it makes common sense, right? That these things will help. So moving, sleeping, meditating, going outside, out in the air. I'm doing this Instagram live out in my garden, right? Because the fresh air factor is also scientifically proven to improve immunity. Those are the most important things. Now, I'm going to just give you the general rules that people should keep as an ideal. And if you're able to afford it, great. And if not, try to do at least as much of it as possible, right? The first thing is eat real food.
Exactly.
Don't 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 eat processed stuff, and eat mostly plants.
Yes.
So if you eat real food and mostly plants, that alone already
Yeah.
will hugely increase your immune resilience and every other function in the body, right? Now, so I like what Michael Pollan, the author of the Omnivore Dilemma, he writes, if it's a plant, eat it. If it's made in a plant, don't eat it, right?
Simple.
And just remember, all these beautiful packages that you buy in the supermarket aisles that have a shelf life,
Of
think of
course.
this: the longer the shelf life of what you're eating, the
Mm.
shorter your life. Right?
Ah, okay. That's
So, so no chemicals, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, and if you're gonna eat chicken, make sure it's a chicken that was free range, eating worms in the under the sun. And same thing with a cow, same thing with a fish,
yeah.
coming from the wild and growing in the way that nature designed them to grow. Right.
Yeah.
That with that rule alone, humanity's health would change dramatically. Right.
Of
But
course.
then if you want to go and fine tune a little bit, then I would say, yeah, eat plants, eat as much variety and variability of color and species as you can.
What you're saying
The,
with the rainbow, can you explain what you mean by eating the rainbow?
so every color of a food is possible because of a pigment.
Mhm.
Now, these pigments are not just dye; they are bioflavonoids. They are phytonutrients, right? And all these pigments have different nutritional values. They are part of different cascade of reactions in the body, right? So,
Yeah.
for example, quercetin is a bioflavonoid. It's a flavonoid from blue colored fruits and vegetables, right? Like blueberries
Yeah.
and right. So the color blue, um, which has a high content of quercetin, is brain and neural protective.
Yes.
And like that, every color of the spectrum is associated with a different function or set of functions of the body, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So red is for reproduction, and green is for immunity, and blue is for nervous system.